Hi guys, so what is the Great Reset? Many of you don't know about the Great Reset. So some of you know about Davos, right? The World Economic Forum that is meeting once a year in Davos, right? Rich people, governments head, corporate CEOs, global institutions, all these folk meeting once a year. And what do they talk about? Well, they talk about the future, right? But they also talk about their own interests. And the point about that group is that a lot of people inside this group is actually seeking his own interests and developing strategies to progress their interests. But this is normal, right? You join other people as a group because you have a common interest, right? And then once you start discussing your common interest, you at some point define strategy to progress your own interest. People playing football, for instance, on a Sunday, right? They gather together because they play football, but they also want to progress their own interest inside football. How can we go see a match together? How can we be better at football? How can we practice better, right? And the WEF, the World Economic Forum, is actually doing the same thing. But what they are after, it's increase in wealth, increase in power, strategies to do this, right? And so they basically have a strategy and have a tactic. And the tactic they use is actually, they create a problem to the solution that they already have and that need to be put in place to progress their own interest. And this is what they did with COVID, basically. You create the virus to the solution that you need to put in place, the vaccination, to progress your interest, population control and population reduction, right? It's said in a blunt manner, yeah, but unfortunately, this is the truth, right? So many of you don't know about the Great Reset. If you read the book of Klaus Schwab, yeah, the goal could be okay, right? It's a way to adjust between north and south. I remove a part of poverty, address climate change, but all this is actually mostly bullshit. Because when you think about it, poverty could have been solved a long time ago. If there's really a problem of climate change before global warming, it's funny how they rename stuff, then we should be doing things differently. And why we don't do things differently, it's because there's no interest to actually do things differently. If you think about it, you are actually being blamed as the problem to a potential change in the climate, right? And you see that, right? You see that through Netflix, you see that through Hollywood movies and stuff like that, where you are actually the virus. And it's funny, right? Because the people that have pushed the system and have made a lot of money on pushing this system of consumption, right, over the past decades, they are actually now blaming you for being responsible for overconsumption. And of course, your consumption makes them extremely wealthy, right? Look at those people which are billionaires now and where they make money, right? A lot of them come from consumer goods as well as financial markets. And yeah, you're being blamed actually now. And you feel guilty, and because you feel guilty, you're supposed to accept all these new measures, control, which is basically about implementing a system of control based on technology, basically a credit system, a social credit system where you're being rated based on what you do, right? But where you are also told what you can do and what you cannot do, right? Based on very subjective criteria, right? So the whole system is actually, the Great Reset is simply a power grab. So power grab have happened across history, right? And you know this, you've been learning this at school. Now the key point is this time, this power grab is done in a very nasty manner because the goal is really to fool you, to get you to have a perception of things which is actually very different from the reality. And the scale of this scam is also unprecedented, as well as the technology used. Never by the past there's been this technology around. Technology is being used at scale within injections, right? So because of that, because of this characteristic, scalability, the use of technology, the nastiness of the scam itself, it's a dangerous scam. And the earlier you realize about it, the earlier you pause and decide to learn about what's really happening, the better it will be for you, for your family, and for your network. Because as we show you on Peopleizer, these people will keep coming for you. They will not leave you alone, no matter if your level of consumption is high or actually very low. Basically, you've got you grow your own food, you have your own solar panel. They do not care. It's about control, and you need to fundamentally understand this. It's about bending people, right? You need to obey, and that's it. This is the way they see things: population control and population reduction. That's the main things I want to share with you on the Great Reset. It's not something that is okay. You definitely need to document yourself because your own life is now at risk, and especially if you've been fooled by the injection. I want to come back on this on perception because it's important. When you look at things, and especially when you make decisions, you look from a cost-benefit perspective, right? What is the cost of doing this versus the benefit? And this is what you've been doing for the vaccination, what we call so-called vaccination, which is purely an injection. And there is what you perceive as cost benefits and the reality of the cost benefits. So now we deal with the injection. They make you think that the benefit is very, very high, right? Basically, they make you think the benefit is very high because they tell you that there's a deadly virus. This virus was not deadly at all. The percentage, the death rate, fatality rate is extremely low, right? So they basically hype the benefit of the injection, and they don't let you perceive any cost. And as we realize now, there's a massive cost to it, but they hide totally the cost, right? So the perception for the vaccination is, oh, benefit is very high. Plus, I would be able to travel again and stuff like that, right? I will have access to all this part of society that I need to have access because it's what I do on a daily basis. I travel, I meet my friend, I go to the swimming pool, go to restaurant, go to cinema, blah, blah, blah. And there's basically no cost, right? I get it for free. They even give you sometimes a hamburger, or they give you a coupon for getting vaccinated. So, and this is where you should have been careful, because why would they promote the benefits so much to such an extent? It make no sense to me. It doesn't make sense. And Do you remember the people in the street who try to, if you walk in Thailand, right? Someone would walk next to you, or go to India in New Delhi, right? Someone walk to you next to you, come take my tuk-tuk. I make you a good price. Come. I do it for free even. I'll take you on my tuk-tuk for free. How would you react? You would smell something. You would say like, why can I get that for free, right? And I did it. I went with the guy. At the end of the day, I had to pay $45, which is basically almost a month of wage in New Delhi, right? And I get tricked. I get fucking tricked. But that's a good lesson. Meaning that when someone tries to oversell you on the benefit, there's often a catch behind, right? And especially if these people are actually government people, and there's a whole sector with a track record of bad behavior and bad practice, right? The fine Pfizer previously had on the market are a big indicator, a big signal that it's not someone it's not people you can trust. Perceived cost benefits. Perceived benefit extremely high, perceived cost extremely low. What's the reality, the actual reality? The benefits, as we saw, the efficacy rate has dropped, right, considerably. And to the point where there are actually no benefits to take this vaccination. To the point where the cost is actually pretty high, right? Quantity of side effects. There are reports of increase in mortality rate, or increase in death rate in terms of trend. Does that make sense? So they've been playing on your perception of things. And I want you, if there's really something you should be remembering from that video, is the key tactic that they use. They create the problem to the solution that they already have so that they can progress their own interest. I repeat it again because once you realize this, you can actually be way more careful about what you're gonna do next. And if you see something, if you see a problem, you will ask yourself, is it actually a problem that they are creating to put in place their solution so that they can progress their own interests? And look at it from this perspective. When you look at the war in Russia against Ukraine, when you look at the climate neutrality, climate change, carbon initiative, they are actually fabricating problems to solutions that they need to put in place so that they can progress their own interests. The climate is a perfect problem created. I create a problem around the usage of resources, right? The emission of carbon, right? And then I put in place my solution, which is basically a carbon consumption system based on the social credit system, your consumption of products, your usage of your own car, usage of electricity, water, blah, blah, blah. All these will be monitored under the social credit system, and you will have a quota that you must meet. So it is fine actually to have a constraint on the quantity of resource that we can use, but who should tell you what this constraint should be, right? And based on what? Certainly not a relatively small number of people who actually spend their own time increasing their personal wealth. When you see the commonwealth of billionaires, it has exploded over the past 2 years. Does that make sense to you? Why would they increase their wealth by 50 to 100% when most of the people are actually not thriving, but their actual wage, their real wage, is actually decreasing, where most of the people actually suffer. It's not the type of society that we want. If you want that type of society, then do not be surprised that you be replaced by robots, by machine, by AI, by robotics. And this will come pretty soon. Don't give billionaire a good reason to actually get rid of you, because you're not using your brain, because you are actually, for them, are useless eaters. And they say it openly, right? So good luck, but it's important for you, remember, they create the problem to the solution that they need to put in place to progress their own interests. And try to do the right thing. Pause, look at things, try to understand. And don't be fooled by other people. Stop working in the plan of someone else. You are smart enough, clever enough to actually make a plan for yourself and the people around you and be happy. Cheers.